Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Bulls on Tap. I am your boy Buzz, and I'm joined by my dude Goose, aka Bull Scripted, and we are here to talk some Bulls basketball, man. It's been a minute. Before we do that, be sure you're going on tapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. Following us on Twitter at BullsOnTap, at OnTapSportsNet, following Goose at Bull Scripted, me at Buzz on Tap. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to us. 5-star rating and review because that's cool and tough. Goose, it's been a minute since we've been on, man. It's been a crazy baseball season for me, covering a bunch of shit.
Oh yeah. Just Cubs season really doesn't matter. So you're right.
That's just
not so crazy for me right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're on a 7-game win streak, but I give two shits about that. Couldn't give two shits. But I would like to thank Jujilla. If you're not familiar with Jujilla, that is a local Chicago rapper. If you have the chance, go to YouTube on the side here. Just fucking pull it up for after the episode. Jujilla, J-U space Jilla, J-I-L-L-A. He made the beat. He's going to have some lyrics thrown down for that too, for our new intro, so we can stop getting copyrighted. So, which is good, fantastic shit there, man. But hey, again, we haven't been here for about 2-3 weeks now, and we missed a huge topic of conversation. But before we get into it, how have you been, man?
I mean, I'm hanging in there, living life. World's kind of burning around everywhere still, but, we're doing good. We're hanging in there. How about yourself? How's the family?
Family's doing good. We had Ruby's first birthday on August 23rd. We had her first birthday party last Saturday, which was awesome. Rented a little jumpy house and shit. All the kids, nieces, and nephews came by. Pretty laid back, awesome. Ice cream truck was actually driving down the street, and I put my cardio to the test. I ran 2 blocks to get it. I died, I think, twice, but I got the damn thing here, and we made that happen. It was good shit. But I've been pretty much on cloud 9 from the White Sox stuff, and for the first time in my life, dude, at the same time, simultaneously, I am excited about 2 Jerry Reinsdorf teams at the same fucking time, which is just pretty much amazing because the Bulls did a lot of cool shit, man. Like they are making moves. They are doing things that are, gathering respect from not just fans, but some, I won't say all, but some within national media. So I'm pretty happy about all that.
Some is definitely the key word there. Receiving just as much hate, if not more, than praise. But that's all right, because you look at this roster and you can see the promise and at least the objective, and we got really fucking athletic. We got young and athletic, Buzz. We finally fucking did it.
Wait.
Finally fucking did it.
You know what's funny? I'm glad you brought that up because Paxson was on Stacey King's Give Me the Hot Sauce podcast, and I listened to a couple little tidbits out of that on my way to work before I just had enough of Paxson. And, it was basically saying they had run their course and they were a little not out. I don't think he said the words out of touch. Maybe I'm throwing that out there. If you're a wrestling fan, throwing some shade like a Vince McMahon type guy, you're out of touch. You don't really know what the fuck you're doing anymore. And it's just so funny because when Pac said we wanted to get younger and athletic, we remember that season being the 3 alphas, if you will. When Arturas came here, he basically had come out. He wanted a bunch of guys that could bring the ball up the floor, diverse within their positions, can do more than one thing. And my God, that's what we've got. And we're going to get into all that in the episode. But the first thing we need to start off with, because we did not talk about it, was the Lauri Markkanen deal. Lauri Markkanen goes to Cleveland. No one wants to go to Cleveland. I don't care what anybody fucking says. No one wants to go to Cleveland. Shout out Joakim Noah. I've never heard anybody say they were going on vacation to fucking Cleveland. I know I don't want to go to Cleveland. But Lauri's shipped to Cleveland. He gets some money that's desirable to him. He signs a 4-year deal over there in that sign and trade. So he's on his way to the Cavs to play with those guys. Were you happy with the return? Were you happy with the return for Lauri Markkanen? DJJ came over and then the first round pick and a second round pick.
Most definitely. The first that we got is going to be a lottery protected first from Portland, which should convey this year. The Bulls will have their own pick this year as well, since they weren't allowed to trade it. So we have 2 first-round picks this year. That's pretty fucking dope. Hopefully the child is good. So we got multiple positive assets for a guy that didn't want to be here, that we didn't want to pay, that was asking for too much money. So I don't know how you can't call that deal a win. You got a 1-year deal for Derek Jones Jr., who's a freak athlete. Probably the first time Zach Levine will have a teammate on his team that might be able to jump higher than him. And I was amazed by the deal in some ways, just because I didn't think Lauri had that kind of value with having to pay him that contract on top of it. So well done. I'm sorry, Lauri, you ended up in Cleveland for a little while there. It looked like he was going to get to go play with Dame, but Cleveland stepped in with an extra second-round pick, and AK said, give me that shit. And that second is from Cleveland, so it could be in the fucking early 30s. That's as good as a late first some years. So masterclass in the Lauri deal.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very happy with it. Our dude Alex Rude in the chat, how many Bulls dunk contest participants next season? We're going to fill up the whole thing, Alex. We're going to fill up the whole goddamn thing. Everybody's going to be in it. I was really stoked with the trade, and not for the reasons of, man, we dogged him a little bit last year, but I always felt like, at least me, and I know you did too, we always kept that same energy about, I think Lauri could be good. I think he could develop into something. And I just don't know if his mindset was just completely fucking wrecked. And you get a lot of Bulls fans online that just say he's trash. I don't believe the guy is trash. I just think he's a 7-foot shooting guard that it doesn't work out for him. It didn't work out for him here. I think there's a place for him if he's used correctly. Not saying he wasn't used correctly last year, but as you know, if you're not on the court consistently, you're not going to get into a good rhythm. And he's battled injuries throughout his career. And then he had the COVID thing last year that we brought up in episodes before. So I won't beat a dead horse about that. But, it is what it is with Lauri. I don't wish him success, though, because, he plays for Cleveland. And the Big Joe in here, looking forward to Bull season. I am too, my man. I am too. I can't wait. But, I don't want the guy to be bad or get hurt or anything. I don't want him to fucking ball out, because then we get to hear, fucking trade somebody from the Bulls. They're an all-star the next year, And I just put that tweet out about Chandler Hutchison. He goes and signs with the Suns. I'm like, Suns are going to fuck around and turn him into the new campaign. He's going to come out. I'm kidding, but it could happen. It could happen.
Hey, Hutch is another guy that has skills. He's 25 years old, and he doesn't have much touch around the rim or at the free throw line, but he does have the athleticism and the basketball skills to play in this league. So happy to see him, in a sense, find a spot and not in China. Because there was a lot of Shanghai Shark shit going around with him, and it probably could have happened. The Suns might have saved his ass there.
Yeah, you take a flyer like that on a 2-way contract. It's, it is what it is. He's 26, 27 years old or something like that.
I think he's still 25.
Is he still 25? Okay.
Put out today.
Yeah, so, it makes sense for him. He's going to a contending team. He might be able to give him something defensively. He can cut pretty decent, move without the ball. We've seen him do that a few times here.
And if not, you have a model for your apparel, because his hairline is impeccable. So
he has the nicest hairline I've ever fucking seen.
He does. His hairline's almost too nice to where it looks weird.
I know people can't see this. I think mine might be going back. I don't know what's happening. I got a couple.
Mine is going back. That's why we have the hat on.
But I don't know, man. Going back to the whole fucking, the Cavs Lauri thing. Larry Nance was a guy that was involved in that, and he went over to Portland. A lot of people wanted him to come here. Alex Rude again, when he was talking about the dunk participants, it would have been insane. But I feel fine about not getting Larry Nance. I'm not a huge Larry Nance mark by any means necessary. I think he's an okay player, but I don't really think he had a spot here.
No, Larry Nance, seeing that we missed on Millsap, I could see where the fit for Nance here, or the need for Nance as a backup power forward, more traditional kind of forward, might have been needed. But I'm really excited about Johnson and DJJ and TBJ and Green. We went from zero wing depth to having a point guard who can actually play defense, Pat moving to the 4, and having a plethora of guys to just swap in and out with however you want to do this, with just elite athleticism and versatility on the defensive end. You can play whatever position you can defend in this league, and we just got a whole bunch of guys that can defend a whole bunch of fucking positions. So Billy has a big toolbox now. And I know there's a lot of people worried about the amount of shooting we have on the bench, but Zach Levine, Vooch, and Demar are going to need their touches. And when Kobe is healthy, hopefully he's ready to go for the home opener kind of thing. But once he's back, he's going to get a lot of touches. Caruso's a good shooter. Troy Brown isn't like the worst shooter ever. He's not great, but he's not like...
You could always improve on that, though. I truly believe that he can improve on that. I think that
22. I hope so. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, he's still young, man. I mean, that's the thing, is he's still young, and I still think he can improve on that. And you did a perfect segue from the Lauri shit into the bench signing stuff. Labor Day was a busy day for the Bulls. Okay, they bring in Elijah Johnson. I got it right. They bring in Stanley Johnson, so you're Johnson and Johnson. And then you brought in another guy. Was it Matt Thompson, right? Is that it? Or Matt Thomas. I'm sorry, Matt Thomas. Matt Thomas, yeah, he played for the Jazz and he played for the Raptors.
Camp deal, rather.
Yeah. Is it just a training camp or was it a two?
Just a training camp deal for right now. He hasn't signed the two-way, so we still have that two-way slot open. I don't know if anyone else from our summer league or if they're sniping some other team summer league participants for a camp deal. But Matt Thomas, we added 2 former Raptors to the roster on Labor Day, which is a good deal because Matt Thomas, I believe, shoots 41% from 3.
Yep, I got it right here. Yeah. He's a shooter, which is a good thing. He was actually between his time in Toronto and Utah, his best season he averaged 4.9 points, 1.5 boards while shooting 47.5% from downtown. He's 27 years old. End of the bench type of a guy. He posted a career high 17 points in just 9 minutes on April 28th against the Jazz this past season here. So I mean, the guy can shoot the ball pretty well. Again, I'm not really sure with how much depth there is, how much you'd actually see him. And the same is going to go for a couple other bench guys we're going to talk about here. A guy that I do want to bring up before we get into the signing that a lot of Bulls fans were really stoked on. I want to get to Stanley Johnson first. Now, if you remember last season, Stanley Johnson lit us the fuck up. He went 35, 10, and 6. That was a miserable game to watch against Toronto.
Yes, I remember it vividly because I forgot Stanley Johnson played professional basketball still. He was just torching us.
So I went back and I watched, some highlights of just his game. And I didn't waste my time looking at offensive highlights. I went right to the defensive side. He had a really good game in Toronto against Luka Doncic. He had a good game when he was guarding Kawhi Leonard.
Everyone has a good game against Luka Doncic.
What was that?
I said everyone has a good game against Luka Doncic. He just happens to have better games than
they do. Right. He had a good game against fucking Kawhi Leonard from the Clippers. He has defensive IQ. I think he's good getting into the passing lanes. He's long and lanky enough where he could bother somebody on the wing. And what I was really impressed in, as I was watching some clips from his time in Detroit, when he got put into his position where he was guarding David West in the paint. Obviously, toward the end of David West's career at the time. But David West is a bulldog. He's a big body. And, he was doing well. And there's countless other, scenarios that I could bring up that I watched him in and that he was doing. But end of the bench kind of guy. I don't know what kind of minutes he's going to get. He didn't get a lot of minutes in Toronto at the end of his tenure over there. But again, it's just a guy that has some decent handles on him, is, above average defensively, and a good wing depth who can even kind of slide and play that 4. So, I'm curious on your thoughts on him too, man, because I actually kind of like that signing. I think that it's a good end of the bench move in tight game situations when we have timeouts to play with and we're having, substitutions left and right. He's a guy who could come in and help you defensively, I would think.
As much as I'm joking about not remembering if he was still in the NBA or not until he torched us, I was really excited about the signing. Even from a practice aspect, he's not Ryan Arcidiacono. He's somebody who can at least physically challenge Patrick Williams in practice and help push him and elevate his game every year just by playing against guys like the Stanley. And I'm just going to call him AJ. We're going to go AJ, the other Johnson, because I thought it was Alizé or Elise, and you're telling me it's something else, and my brain is just not comprehending it all quite yet. So I'll wait for Stacy to clarify exactly what it is for me. Once we get these games rolling. Alizé?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm still not gonna remember that. So we're gonna let Stacy drill it into my head for a little bit before we move on from AJ. But back to the point at hand, just adding these big bodies that are going to be, there for Pat in practice and there if Pat goes down. And on the back end of this bench, just to be these Swiss Army knives defensively, I think we're going to have the offensive power. We want the ball in Zach's hand, in Demar's hands, in Vooch's hands. And we are going to have lineups where you're staggering these guys. And having the defensive power to just work any lineup is extremely exciting to me. And I don't know why. I mean, I know most fans are very thrilled like we are about the signings, but there are a lot out there too that seem kind of skeptical about like, okay, well, now you got all these guys that can play defense. Well, 2 weeks ago we were all complaining, well, we're not going to be able to play any defense. And now we got too many guys on the back end of our bench that can only play defense. Like, I don't see how that's an issue. I feel like we solved just about every problem we had going into this offseason, even if we didn't get the names that we would have wanted, like Paul Millsap.
Right. And I agree with that. I mean, again, we brought in a lot of guys that are, Swiss Army knives, I would say, could guard multiple positions. You've got guys that can bring the ball up the floor as well. With Stanley Johnson, what I really liked out of watching just clips of him, because I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't watch a lot of Brooklyn Nets basketball this year. As I've said on this show a million times, I was really dialed in on Pelicans basketball, Hornets basketball, Sacramento Kings basketball on the NBA TV. Or not NBA TV, NBA League Pass, I apologize. But I was really dialed into that. But I went back and watched some highlights of this guy. Not the most athletic cat in the world, but he is a guy that has a knack for getting the ball, above average rebounder, being at 6'7" for a power forward, kind of a stocky build. He's got like a jump step kind of, like little hook floater thing that he plants his feet and he does a little floater in the paint that seems to be effective for him. He moves well without the ball, which I will say, like, going, crashing into the paint to try to get whether he's setting a pick, coming off a pick and roll or whatever, he can get to the paint pretty easily from what I saw. Now it's hard because it's small sample sizes when it comes to him. He has not played a ton of fucking games. So I'm not going to like talk about him like he's over the moon. Like oh my God, this guy's going to be transcendent for the bench or anything, but I think he's going to be pretty good if he's used properly.
What do you mean that Lamar Butler is not going to be transcendent?
Lamar Butler, oh my God. Yeah, everybody said he looks like Jimmy Butler 2.0.
You just squint a little bit, and then Jimmy's back.
Yeah, Jimmy's back. And he's wearing Taj's old number too, number 22. So he might be one better than the former number 21. No. Out of everybody that has been signed.
I'm not expecting anything crazy. I'm just happy that the versatility and the motor is there. I think DeMar is going to play a lot of 4. I think Pat's going to play a lot of 4. I don't think our power forward need was as great as it was made out to be, as much as I would have liked to land Millsap like everybody else. But of course, ring chasing like all the other vets that are on their last few legs here. I
can't blame them. You want a ring, and that's what a lot of people had been saying the whole time is, hating on Millsap. Oh, he's just chasing a ring. Well, motherfucker, that's the goal when you enter the league, man. That's the goal when you enter the league is to get paid and get a ring. He's gotten paid. He wants to go get a ring.
He wants the ring.
Right. I can't hate on the guy. I'll throw like some shots out there like Chicago's way better than fucking Brooklyn or New York or whatever. Like, because it is. New York sucks. It's trash in the streets and shit. Fuck New York. But out of everybody that was signed for the bench, who is your favorite bench acquisition so far? Just if you've gotten to break some shit down and look at stuff.
Yeah, this is gonna be
outside of Alex Caruso and TBJ who's been here, because I know you're a big TBJ guy. So
you just took the Caruso show away from me.
I did because
I was actually going to eat some shit on that one, man. Like
go ahead, eat it.
I've thrown a lot of jabs at Caruso. I've called him the glorified Archidiacono. And
oh god,
I've been pretty rough on Caruso. Some of those memes got a little too hype heavy for me for a little while. I'm the anti-hype most times, so I gotta rub the wrong way with Skinny Elmer Fudd, and I just want to say that I think Skinny Elmer is gonna be that dude. I think he's gonna. Your face. I'm trying to hold it together. I think Caruso is probably the best bench addition. Kind of shocked me. You know, my heart was with Derrick Rose homecoming, and it just didn't happen. He went back to the shits. But you know, maybe in the future we can bring Derrick home where he belongs. But for now, Skinny Elmer is going to hold it down, and I think it's going to put Kobe back in that kind of natural position where he belongs, focusing on scoring instead of facilitating. And Billy's good with 3-guard lineups, so I think we might even see Caruso, Lonzo, and Kobe all on the floor at the same time in certain stints.
And that's when Kobe comes back from the injury. Our boy Corey in the comments here, how many championships does Archie have? Because Caruso has more.
This is true.
Yeah, he's coming in. And that was not because of LeBron, by the way. That was all because of Caruso. All of it. And I won't be fucking told otherwise.
Hey, but Archie does have some national championships, and he is a Villanova hero. So
that's very true. His number's retired over there, isn't it?
He is.
His number's retired over there. We'll answer another question here. We'll try to get to all of them at the end of the show once we get through our little list here. I never make lists, but we haven't been on in a while, so I just went down a little list here of topics we should hit on. But will Dotson have a role on this team? I don't think so. I think that he is an end of the bench guy when he's not with the Windy City Bulls. And that's where decimated by injury.
He's playing for G League MVP.
Yeah, I don't see him getting a ton of pull here. And it's kind of the same with Marko Simonovic. I don't know if he's going to get a ton of run either in his rookie season. Especially with like the signings that we kind of made and the push that it seems to be that these guys are trying to win. Not saying that Simonovic isn't that dude or cannot be that dude. I just don't see it right off the bat the same way I don't see it with Ayo Dosunmu right off the bat. I think that it's going to be special situations where these guys hit the floor. It's going to be frustrating for fans of those guys personally that like have investments in those guys that have followed them. I think that it's kind of like get ready for the Tibbs treatment almost. If you remember when we had rookies with Tibbs and they didn't fucking play because they're not going to be in every game. It's going to be special situations.
And they're second round rookies. You got to keep in mind a lot of these guys don't ever even like stick in the league past their initial contract. So it's a good thing if they're not playing for the team this year. We'll leave it at that.
Let them soak everything up. That's kind of where I've been with the whole thing personally. Let them soak everything up.
If they're not playing, it means that we don't have injuries, which is what we want to see.
Right. So another one I want to get into, because we had a good question up here from Tom. And it's a good segue, so I'll use this question. Do you think that Zach will average 30 this year? No, I don't. I think that Zach will be anywhere from 23 to 25 points per game again. And just for the simple fact of the matter that he's got guys on this team that are going to get their touches, and it's just going to happen that way. That scoring typically dips when that happens, and I guarantee you, knowing, not personally, but knowing of what I know of Zach Levine, he ain't going to give a fuck about that as long as they're winning. That's the biggest thing with Zach. So I don't think that he will average 30 this year. I'm pretty sure you're probably in the same boat as me, Goose.
Yeah, no, I don't think 30's happening. I think we probably see a dip. We might even see 22 points per game. And as long as it's as efficient as it was last year, and it should be easier for Zach this year because he actually does have help. I'm going to keep expectations low on the points per game, but it's a good thing that expectations are low because he won't have to do it every night anymore.
Right. And while we're talking about Zach, our boy Chris over from Barroom Network, I love this guy. He does a Bulls 101 podcast. It's a really good podcast. I mean, you should check that out if you get a chance. But he asked, how many MVP votes does Zach Levine get this year? I'll hang up and listen.
One from Nick Friedel.
Oh, I fucking hate him, dude. He's got me blocked on Twitter. And, like, I didn't even do any. And this was from years ago. Like, I think before I even became, like, Buzz or whatever on Twitter. I've always been Buzz, but, like, on Twitter. Like, it was just nothing.
Were you still Buzzweed?
Yeah, I think it was Buzzweed at the time, probably.
It's ironic that I'm the stoner of the two, and you were Buzzweed.
That's because I couldn't do it, man. They took my hair and my pee. I couldn't do it, bro. It is what it is. And now I just get with the alcohol. I get my little buzz going on. You see what I did? There's a play on words, and that's just kind of how I do my thing. But no, Zach's gonna get all the MVP votes this year, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's because I'm going to fucking take everybody's vote, and I'm going to, forge them. I'm going to steal it, and I'm going to rig it, and that's why he will win the MVP this year. Because I'm going to personally do it. I don't care if he shoots 10%. He's still getting the MVP because I've come up with a plan to steal all the MVP votes that have turned in. Outside of Zach Levine, who do you think the most impactful player will be for the Bulls this year? Obviously there's a ton of guys here that we can go through. You have a guy like, maybe not scoring wise, but you have a guy like Lonzo Ball who could be very impactful in helping the offense run, get into his spots, being efficient. You have a guy like Nikola Vucevic, great passer, great shooter, good back to the basket game as well. You have Demar Derozan, who was absolutely fantastic last year in San Antonio, and that's proven. You should check out MV Paw is his name on Twitter. He writes for OnTap Sportsnet. I'm not just trying to give a selfish plug here, but that guy might be one of the, if not the best Bulls writer on the internet. With the way that he puts graphs together, stats together, you really need to check him out. But he brought up about how DeRozan was such a good playmaker. He knows how to get guys in their spots. He knows how to get in his spots to be efficient. So I'm curious to hear who you think, because I think Zach's going to ball out. I think he's just improving. He's improved every year since he's been in the league. He's coming off at a gold medal with Team USA. I think that he still is. This is his team in my mind. But who do you think is his Robin, or who do you think is right there with him as Batman 2.0?
I think it's definitely Zach's team, like you said, and your points on Lonzo just being probably the best two-way addition that they added, outside of maybe getting a major leap from Pat, which probably won't happen this year with all the kind of high-end additions that you got. Buzzweed. Just because I'm actually going to, once again, I'm going to go back on my initial take here, and I think DeMar DeRozan is going to be the most impactful addition. I'm really excited after listening to his interviews and just his mentality on the signing and why he came here. And obviously $28 million or however much fucking money we paid him, more than most other teams would have on top of the trade. I think the mentality that he's bringing, and the chip that he's bringing from San Antonio, as well as that pedigree, that winning pedigree, he's hungry. He watched the Raptors, the team that he got traded from, win a championship. Like, that has to eat at that man every day, and he's a dog. So I'm really excited for that mentality that he brings and the skill set, because we needed an initiator, and we're not sure. We're hoping Lonzo can tap into those initiator skills that he was once highly touted for, more so than just being a connector and a great transition passer, and now an above average shooter. But I think DeMar is kind of going to be that playmaker for us, that is going to be your drive and kick initiator that can get to the free throw line and creates for his teammates. So I think he's going to be the most impactful. Okay,
that's totally fair. So I would tend to agree, but I'm going to go Vooch. Okay. I think it's the most talented roster Vooch has played with, and here's so many things that God, it's so odd to say, because what did we call him last year? A poor man's like Jokic almost.
Yeah, Jokic's second cousin.
Right. Like the above average passing, the getting into his spots, the knowing when to shoot the ball, knowing when to get into the post to open up a shooter around him. There's so many things that Vucevic does so well that I think complement this roster as well. He can be a guy on some possessions, at least when Zach was playing with him last year, they were able to build up some sort of rapport together, because with the COVID thing with Zach last year, that Vooch and Zach played well together, and Vooch could take the ball out of Zach's hands sometimes, so it wasn't the Zach show on the offensive end. And even what Vooch did with Kobe White, because a lot of people, myself included, thought that Kobe White's playmaking improved when Vooch got here last year. Like, he knew where to kind of be on the court. Him and they played a good game together, good pick and pop.
When you have somebody that you can trust to throw the ball to down there, like Vooch, like, you just throw it up high enough, and he's going to get it, and 9 times out of 10 he's going to bank it in. So no, Vooch makes everybody's job easier. The fact that he is a 40% 3-point shooter from the center spot, like effortlessly, like he walks in the gym and it just looks pure and clean and easy for him. It's hard to argue with that either, because we got a nice glimpse of what he could do with Zach, and now you add these other pieces, and he could be the most important piece on this team.
Yeah, I just thought that besides Zach, I thought that Vooch is going to have a really good year again. I just think that he's complimented well from DeRozan. I feel like he's complimented well from Zach, Lonzo, and then I feel like he can also help those guys get going too, maybe if he doesn't have it. So it's just, that's why I kind of picked him. And I'm really looking for a big year out of him. So now this kind of goes into the last topic I had on our list. And that's kind of a tough one to bring up, not to bring up, but to talk about, is like, where do we stack in the East? When you look at it, you're hearing about all the Ben Simmons trade rumors happening right now. And I think that a lot of people put Philly in what they called the second tier of the Eastern Conference. A lot of people said the first tier was Brooklyn and Milwaukee. And then you had your second tier of, like, your Philadelphia's. Even Atlanta was put up there. I mean, hey man, they made an Eastern, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, didn't they? I mean, so they were there. They were there. And I mean, that's true. They took 2 games from Milwaukee. They were there. Where would you?
Yeah, let's Milwaukee. Let's calm down.
where would you stack the Bulls right now if you could? Like, where do you think they end up? And I'm going to pull up last season's Eastern Conference standings just to try to line it all up. Because right now, if I had to guess, I say 5 to 6 is where I think the Bulls will land.
I'm thinking 6 to 8, so I'm just going to say 7. And I know we have a friend somewhere that's real excited about that number.
Oh, my God. Is Fred still on 7?
I'm sure Fred's still on 7, dude. Fred's not ever getting off of 7.
Every time he does that 7 shit, I take that clip from Monica from Friends where she just keeps going 7, 7. Like, I don't know if you've seen that. It might be before your time.
No, I actually, as funny as it is, I started rewatching Friends last night because it's on HBO Max. And
so did we. See, I knew that twin telepathy always goes on between. I mean, you're better looking twin. We're what are they? What is it? Fraternal?
Fraternal twins.
Yeah, we're fraternal. I'm getting a little buzzed. So yeah, we're fraternal, but you're the better looking one. But the mindset's always right there.
So I'm going to go 7 just because I don't want to get too carried away. I don't want to put the expectations too high. I think 5 or 6 are not out of the realm of possibility. I think we could definitely fuck around and end up there. We have the talent. It's just how fast are we going to click, and can we stay healthy? We have our first full off season. We don't know how COVID's going to progress or what the hell we're going to have play out this season with this situation still going on. Hopefully, for the most part, the teams don't have to worry about it. But if we have a normal season and we have good health, 5-6 is definitely possible with the talent that we have on this roster.
Yeah, it's hard for me to like put my finger on it because I don't know what they're going to do with Ben Simmons or what the return will be for him. We've heard Golden State, we've heard Sacramento, we heard Cleveland is now trying to get into the mix. We've heard a few different teams.
Sacramento, and I hope they wouldn't trade Fox.
Yeah, see, that's what I was wondering too, man, because I haven't fucked around with the trade machine to look to see how that would actually work or not. But I think that De'Aaron Fox with Joel Embiid and Harris over there, I think that'd be pretty fucking dope.
Oh no, if they got De'Aaron, I'd probably be a Philly fan. Like,
Whoa.
I'm not
Calm
saying
down.
like jumping ship here, man. I'm just saying like I'd root for Philly in some games. Fox is my dude. I'm a Fox fan. I would rather have Fox than Lonzo. That's 1,000%.
It's fucking blasphemy. No, but you're right. But it's blasphemy because I've been calling for Lonzo for like since we started this podcast 2 years ago. Because this is now season 3. So this is like, fuck you, man. No, I know. I get it.
So no, I mean the Philly situation. You are trading an all-star. I have to think whatever they get back is going to be with their timeline in mind. You don't know how long Joel Embiid's going to play basketball. He could have 2 or 3 more good years, and then his body could just say, that's it. And maybe they get to the mountaintop in that time, and he says, I'm good. I accomplished what I wanted to. I proved that I was, one of the best, most dominant centers ever to play this game, and he walks away healthy. So I feel like they're on an escalated timeline. So I feel whatever they trade Ben for is going to have that in mind.
Yeah, so I mean that at the top of the Eastern Conference, that's my question mark right now between the Milwaukee, Philly, Brooklyn. I think that Brooklyn will be up there. They stay healthy, they're going to be fucking, you're going to have your rest with them, no doubt about it. Your load management, whatever. You're going to have that, but if they're healthy, and obviously they had a big midseason trade last year, it wasn't even midseason, before midseason with James Harden and everything. These guys are going to click, they're going to ball out, they're going to win games in the regular season, no doubt about it.
They traded for fat suit James Harden. He just never really got back to being healthy there. So full off season. We'll get running on the mountain James Harden off season pictures here shortly. It looked like he was stranded in the desert for a month, and things will be good. Brooklyn's scary because they can pull the whole LeBron in the East thing. They don't have to play. Their appeal draws in enough back-end bench star talent like Blake Griffin and all these guys that you're pulling in for minimum contracts because they want rings. Those guys can carry you through the regular season and get you a playoff spot. So
you're not wrong. That's the thing.
You don't need the home court. You don't fucking care where you're playing. You got those guys on your team. So that bit them in the ass a little bit last year because they weren't healthy while they got all that resting in, and they just didn't, they weren't ready. But a healthy Brooklyn team is damn near unbeatable. So I'm not disappointed with where the Bulls are on their timeline, kind of towards the bottom of the East, maybe a sneaky contender, because that puts us where we should be. We're not going to beat Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving if they're healthy with all that fucking bench power that they have. That's not realistic.
Right.
So we're at where we want to be. Arturas and Mark gave us a roster that's going to be competitive, and we get to build towards the future at the same time. And I am so fucking excited.
So another team a lot of people don't talk about is Miami Heat. I don't know why they are flying under the radar as much as they are. They made some good acquisitions over there. I mean, notably Kyle Lowry playing with Jimmy Butler. Kyle Lowry is still an effective guard. His game was never built off athleticism. It's basically fundamental basketball. He's got a high basketball IQ. He knows how to find his teammates on the court. He's a good shooter. Get in the lane too and make some shit happen. I look at them and I think we're better than them. I really do. I think that we could be better than them. And then I look, at your New York Knicks. I think that's a fluke. I don't think they do it again. I could be completely wrong because it is a Tibbs-led team, and I really shouldn't.
Be in the play-in, maybe an eighth seed. But
that's what I want to avoid. That's what I want to avoid is what you said before about like maybe you went 7. I don't want this fucking play-in thing. I don't want it. I want 6 or 5 because I don't want to see a Milwaukee or a fucking Brooklyn in the first round of the playoffs. I want to make this last as long as we can.
Yeah, I mean, we saw with Atlanta falling in that 4-5 area, getting the Knicks, they had a chance to advance. And then you catch another injury or two.
That's the key.
Catch another injury or two. Injuries are part of the game, and you find yourself fucking around on the cusp of being in the finals. So we have the roster that is put in position to compete for something like that. And, we'll hear fluke and all that, but I'm fine with being a fluke as long as we fucking get there. So I do have to agree with you. I don't know. I wouldn't put us above the Heat just because I think the continuity of the majority of their roster on top of adding a champion and Kyle there, I would give them the edge above us, but long term, I'm not scared of the Heat. They're in a similar boat that we are, and their timeline is just a lot shorter.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. Now I will drag in some questions here. We had Corey from YouTube. He threw up there, where do you think the team will rank in offensive and defensive rating? Now, I think the Bulls offensively could probably be top 10. I think that best case scenario defensively with the starting lineup and how it is. Everybody talks shit about Vooch. He's a capable defender. He's actually plus if you look at the numbers. Shout out MV Paw for throwing that out there. Again, that's Chip Jones over at untapsportsnet.com. I'm a little worried about that because, I mean, everybody always has I don't want to say false hope, but that belief that Zach's going to make all these jumps and everything like that. Zach's a great fucking player. He's an all-star, and there's a reason he's an all-star. He's going to be an all-star again. I believe it, but let's see what he could do on the defensive end before I start making assertions here that he's going to do it.
Having to be like a 40% usage player every fucking night that he gets the energy. We saw
I think Olympics. He could do it.
Well, we saw it in the Olympics, with less offensive responsibility, Zach was able to focus more on the defensive end. So
the Olympics is also a way different game than the NBA is.
This is true.
I mean, and that's the thing,
It
dude.
was a lot more mini kind of hand checking and kind of physical stuff.
Right.
That you're not going to get away with.
And it's the same like with the FIBA World Championship.
A bad man defender. So
right.
Zach's issue is going to be how good can him, Demar, and Vooch kind of make up for each other's flaws on that defensive end.
I'd say like 8, maybe 8th in offensive rating, maybe 9, and like anywhere from 17 to 20 defensive rating. I would hope 17. I'd hope that. I hope that they kind of run middle of the pack.
We were surprising top 15 in defense last year, even with the shit roster.
Yeah, we were.
So I would not be surprised to see us do that again. We added a lot of defensive versatility that we did not have.
Our dude Patrick from YouTube threw out that we were 12th last year in defensive rating.
No, yeah. So if we were ranked 12th last year, I'm really confident we might. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to get bold. We're going to be top 10 in both. We're going to be a top 10 offensive and defensive team. It might be the back end. It might be 9 and 10 in both categories. But I think that this is a roster that's been put together with the potential to do that, because you're not going to have Zach, Vooch, and DeMar on the floor at the same time all the time. We do have a Tony Bradley. We do have a defensive-minded center that, might be swapped out fairly quickly. We have so many fun pieces to play. And that's why I'm just so excited to get to camp and start seeing some of these videos coming out from camp, and then get to fucking preseason. It's going to come so quick, and it's once people see it kind of play out and how much Billy is going to have to work with, we're not going to be pigeonholed into just being a bad defensive team. We have the pieces to mix things up here. And I think Lonzo's impact on the defensive end is really being underrated. We had Satoransky and Kobe White as our point of attack defenders for the last 2 seasons. That is not going to be the case anymore. And Lonzo has potential to be like cusp all defensive type defender on that end for his position. So I'm just so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too, man. Now, the meshing process with all these new faces. As you know, there are only 2 people left from the Garpax era. That's fucking nuts, dude. That's a quick turnaround roster. You and I both know it. I don't know if I've ever seen a roster overhauled that much within 2 years. Or really, was it 2 years? Like a year and a half.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a year and a half, because it was after the pandemic they got fired.
Sequence.
Yeah. I mean, it's been about a year and a half now. Complete overhaul of the roster, the meshing process. Do you think that plays a role in the beginning of the season where we have significant growing pains? Because that could be make or break, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think it's going to be significant, though. I don't think it'll be significant. I think with the traditional, like, full off season that they're going to have, I think the guys are going to come in early. I think they're all hungry. They all have that chip. Vooch has never really won. DeMar has never really won. Zach has never really won. They're tired of hearing that shit. And that was a lot of the motivation and part of Zach's pitch to these guys to get them to come in was, dude, they doubt me. Nobody expected me to get to where I am now off of this ACL after I got traded to Chicago. Look at what I'm doing. If I have you here and we have Vooch here already, Vooch, you played with Vooch before. We can do things, and I think that's part of what's underrated is Zach and Lonzo wanted to play together.
DeMar and that had a lot to do with the UCLA connection too, which I didn't really know, because they're years apart. I really didn't know that.
So ruined.
Yeah, so I mean, it was really cool to hear actually Lonzo talk about like how he would see Zach, UCLA.
Well, the same thing with DeMar and Vooch, I'm pretty sure, right?
USC. So I mean, it's definitely. It's definitely a team, I think, that is going to be pretty good. I still am a little shocked by the national media perception of them. A lot of people threw that Stephen A. Smith clip at me. That dude is a fucking mark for LeBron and the Knicks. I don't care about his NBA prowess or his opinions on that. Whatever, it is what it is type deal with me. I think that they're going to be a good team. And like I said, I would say 5 to 6 for them this year if they click immediately. I think that there's not going to be a lot of meshing problems. The reason I brought it up is because it was brought up to me about these new teammates getting together, trying to figure each other out. But this isn't a ton. I mean, the young guys are on the bench. A lot of the young guys are on the bench. You have guys here. I mean, think about it. We'll start at the top. We'll start with Lonzo Ball. He's played with LeBron James. I mean, he played with Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram. Like, he's played with very talented players, and he accepted his role when he was with the Pelicans. Maybe not something that he enjoyed as much, and he didn't feel appreciated, which he kind of, put out there in his interview when we brought him on. But then we'll go to Zach Levine. Zach Levine has not won 4 games in a row since he was in UCLA, but he's played with good vets such as Thad Young. He's played with them. He's done some good things. Like, he's had some good people around him. And I think the biggest thing about Zach is that he wants to fucking win. And I think that that's apparent when you listen to him talk. You go to a guy like DeMar DeRozan. You brought this up earlier in the podcast. This guy is, his ass is on fire, dude. He got traded for Kawhi Leonard and his former fucking team where he thought he was going to be. Forever ignored phone calls from Messi, the GM over there, because he was so hurt. And then they go and win a championship. Again, like you pointed out, that's got to light a fire under him. Then you have a guy like Nikola Vucevic, who's no stranger to the playoffs. He's played with some decent talent, not great talent, but decent talent. He's been there. He's a vet who wants to win.
Did you see the picture he shared of Kobe?
Oh, Fournier today?
Fournier.
Yeah, getting fucking stuffed by Kobe White. Oh, I loved every second of it. Vooch got a personality on him. I dig it. And then you got some dogs in there too. Your TBJs. I think Pat is going to really, really benefit of having some of these guys that have been in the league, especially 2 younger guys too, that he can relate to more so, like Zach Levine and Lonzo Ball. But then you have the vets that have been around.
I think DeMar is perfect for Pat.
I think so too. I think that Vooch was perfect for Pat too.
You want Pat to be two-way DeMar with a jump shot,
right?
3-point jump shot.
Yeah.
Because DeMar's got a jump shot. It's just not from distance. And ironically, DeMar's contract expires right before Pat needs to be paid. So that lines up perfect.
There's a method to this front office madness. And that's something that I really fucking dig. And with the 3 first-round draft picks that have been traded since they have come aboard, because when they came aboard, everybody was thinking, okay, this is what's going to happen here. Zach's either going to go or they're going to try to bring in pieces around him to win, maybe have some good picks. They're going to pick. No, they said, fuck that. And they were able to recoup a first-round pick after acquiring DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic. That's big time. They know what they're doing. There's method to their madness, and I'm excited to see what is painted on the court.
They came in and said that they were going to compete. They're going to make the Bulls cool again, and they were going to do it as quick as possible. Though this was a retool, not a rebuild. I mean, they rebuilt the shit out of the roster, but it was just a retool. They identified Zach, and Zach made that really easy for them to identify who they should build around on this team, but they didn't blink. They brought in Vooch, and I think that deal looks better today than it did even after not making the playoffs or the play-in, because you traded Franz Wagner, a future first, and Wendell Carter Jr. for an all-star. Like, I don't it's just the way everything has played out since they've got here is mind-blowing. Like you said, there's 2 fucking guys from the Garpax era left. That's it.
And I think those were the 2 most talented guys on the team.
Yeah.
And they're still here. And I think that those guys have hunger, and I think they have good games, and I think they brought in people. Acme brought in people that are complementary to not just them. I'm not saying they built anything around Kobe White, but the guys that are on this team now, when Kobe White enters this game off the bench, are going to benefit him and put him in a position to succeed rather than press how he had to do before. And that's what I'm looking forward to personally. I re-upped the tickets, man. So we went up, actually. We did 20. That's what we're going to be doing this year. We've got a 20-game Bulls plan. I'll be, I think it was 326 because that's that corner right by that bar. I love the bar over there.
I love the bar.
You know me. I got to keep on brand, right? On Tap Sportsnet, always cracking beers, always having a good time.
It's your Muay Thais there, isn't it?
Yeah, there are some Muay Thais over there, man. Or I can get a fucking Jack and Coke. So I'm all good.
Okay.
And you know me, I'm a whiskey fan. So I'm excited, man. I think this is going to be great. I'm really hoping, and something you touched on before with the COVID and everything like that, this Delta thing that's going on. If anybody knows me, I don't pay attention to any sort of news. I have no idea whatever is going on. But I am so worried because I just want so badly for us to be able to hit up the open practice like we did last year, because that's still on the docket for us. I was actually invited along with you. I didn't get to tell you this, so I get to tell you live on this podcast. We were invited to the Advocate Center for a practice. I know you've gotten to Grace. You've been there before. I have not, and I'm really excited to be able to go do that. So there's so many things this year that have me hyped up, and I'm trying to keep a normal mindset here and not try to go too full fucking blown homer, because I always called myself a realist when it came to the Bulls. Like I'm a realist when it comes to them until I pick them to go to the playoffs and then they don't do it. So I guess I am a homer. Fuck. Just kind of did that to myself there. Yeah, I'm a homer. God, I hate the Bears though. I love them so much. I hate them. But it's and there's so many cool things that I think are going to transpire at the United Center this year for this team, and I'm just fucking stoked on it. And like I said, the 20-game package is something I'm really looking forward to. Being out there is a big thing for all of us here at OnTap. Is like, if you can't find one of us that don't have season tickets to something, like you got Johnny and Tony for the Sox and the Hawks. You got me for the Bears and the Bulls, and I hit at least 15 fucking 20 Sox games a year myself. But the Bulls made it very difficult for me to say no and not to up the package with the acquisitions they made. So making the Bulls cool again, Goose, Mark Eversley and Arturas Karnisovas did that. And one thing I do want to say about Mark Eversley real quick, that guy gets no credit. You don't see his name anywhere. It's all Arturas. And I'm sure Arturas is obviously he's the one making the final calls. He's a very involved executive vice president of basketball operations, no doubt.
Mark
But
got a lot of credit for the Demar.
Wait, that was like a day after, 2 days after, because that was when they said he fucking flew to California.
Yep.
That shows that you give a fuck, and that finally put his name out there, man. It wasn't at first. You can go back to early articles.
That was the first real centerpiece that was dedicated to Mark. Otherwise, it's been all AK.
Yeah. So I mean, Mark and AK seem to be a great team, and they seem like they have the finger of the pulse. They both agree with what they're doing. They know basketball. They know how to make good moves, and it's going to be something that I think is going to be special for us, whether it's a championship or not. That is so tired of a thing. Now we get to go on our rants. We went through our lists. We talked our shit. Now we get to go on our rants a little bit. Like, dude, I don't think the Bulls could beat the Lakers in a 7-game series if they were to meet in the finals. I don't think the Bulls could beat the Brooklyn Nets.
Is it bad that I'm not that scared of the Lakers?
You don't have to be. I'm not saying I'm scared of them either. I'm saying I don't think they beat them in a 7 games if they were to reach the finals. I don't think they beat Milwaukee in a series.
No, I don't think the Bulls make it out of the East. They have to worry about the Lakers, but I don't think the Lakers are the team that ends up making it out of the West.
I was just throwing the hypothetical out if you were to reach the finals.
No, I got you.
I don't think that they could beat Brooklyn or Milwaukee, but I'll tell you something right now, and I believe this. I think we could beat Atlanta. I think we could beat, if New York somehow gets there, I think we beat New York. I think we could beat Miami. I do. I think that this team, currently constructed, can do some good shit, and I'm all for it. And if I'm wrong, fuck it. I'm wrong. But I think that they have a diverse set of guys that, again, they're a bench full of Swiss Army knives, an offense where there's no shortage of fucking scoring. You have 3 guys that can score whenever they want. It's no accident that your center was a fucking 22-11 guy. It's no accident the guy that you just brought in from San Antonio knew his role over there, scored over 5 points a game, and was able to involve his teammates that can't shoot from 3 over there. He's kicking it out to Murray. We both like Murray, but we both know he can't shoot the 3. It's no accident that Zach Levine was built around as the star, and you bring in a point guard in Lonzo who's improved, and again, broken fucking record, beaten a dead horse. I've said it a million times, but Lonzo Ball, who revitalized his game, changed his shot, and his percentages skyrocketed.
If Lonzo keeps improving as a shooter, his fit with Zach might be unmatched.
What do you think? Top 6 backcourt?
I mean, Zach's projected as a top 5 shooting guard.
Yeah.
So I don't see why not.
And that's where I talk my shit. It's not a failure. It's not. If you don't fucking win a championship this year, it's not a failure. You're building towards something. You have picks as well. You have young guys here. Lonzo's not old. Zach's not old. Patrick Williams is he 20 yet? I think he just turned 20.
Yeah,
he just turned 20.
A week or two ago.
And then that's 3/5 of your starting lineup, dude. And they're all in their, like Zach's in his late 20s. He's 26, 27.
And that's the fresh 26, I'm pretty sure, too.
So,
I think he is 27.
So, I mean, again, like there's room for longevity here. And that's where you gel, where other teams change. Listen,
you came into the season, you armed yourself good enough to make a surprise run to an Eastern Conference Finals or a second round with a couple, games to steal out of that second round series. You've put yourself in position to be legitimately competitive while having the pieces that are going to grow towards the future. Zach, Zoe, and Pat, that foundation is fantastic. And then if you steal a perimeter defender, a wing out of Troy Brown, Alizé, or Derek Jones, or even if the Stanimal decides to be a staple, that would be you're just adding to this young core. I think it's 11 people, including Dotson, that are currently signed are under 25 years old. 3 of the players that are not under 25 years old are current All-Stars or DeMar DeRozan. So I don't get some of the national media's approach to looking at what the Bulls did as a negative.
Why do you think they do that?
I mean, because we haven't been good. Because our current reputation isn't great, I feel like some people forget that we do have a new front office, that we do have a whole entire different roster now. The stench of tanking is gone. There's none of that left. Pat doesn't know a tanking season. Kobe knows a tanking season and some Jim Boylan, but other than that, you just have Zach, who was never really on board with any of that. He just had to deal with the shit. So, I mean, all that's gone. So I think the stigma in the national media will disappear rather quick as the season gets started. And if it doesn't, Chicago's a city underdogs. I don't think these guys are going to have a problem taking on that stigma and riding with it and using it to their advantage, because most of them are underdogs. And I'm ready to surprise some fucking people this year.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's like me in my head or it's just kind of like what we grew up with, but national media perception to me is always just so fucking negative. And I mean, whatever Chicago team you are, I mean, the Cubs, everybody's like, oh, the Cubs get love too. And this is the only good thing I'll ever say about them. They got love when they were the lovable fucking losers. It's not a great fucking it's not a great thing to have surrounding you.
I haven't won for 108 years. They finally did it. Oh my God, those guys are so awesome.
Right. Like, it's just, to me, dude, it's always just shit. Like, it's always just shit surrounding Chicago sports. I'm not really sure why. Again, I could be reading way too much into it.
I think because New York's a bigger market, and they're kind of like the sports capital. So it just kind of makes sense that it trickles down from the rivalry there, and we get the shit end of the stick. The Knicks made it to the playoffs with Chicago scraps and were praised like they were kings. So it's just the way that it is, and I'm just excited to see I want to see the Knicks in the first round. That's what I want. I want the Knicks in the first round. I don't care how it happens. I don't even care if it's in the play-in. If we have to be 7 and they're 8 and we have to kick their ass out of the fucking playoffs in a play-in setting, I'm for it. I want it. I want the Knicks. I want the Knicks first. I want to send Tibbs home. I want Derek to request a trade in the offseason. I need it to happen. You're muted, boss. You're muted.
I am muted. I'm sorry. It would be great. I just don't want the fucking play-in.
Obviously.
I had another beer. We started getting hot and heavy here, and we went over an hour. I don't give a fuck. We're talking. We're having fun. I don't want the play-in, but again, I've stated that before. But I mean, there's so many factors that go into this season that I'm interested in. So many storylines, so many different things. Like I really, the one thing I do personally want is Zach to be an all-star again. This year, I think he will be. I just, it's just with it.
Bulls are 5'6". Somebody on our team's got to be an all-star, right?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, dude, like when you get this talent around you, the empty numbers thing is always something that grinds my ass. You know, like, oh, well, you know, he's scoring this on a shitty team. Like, dude, look at the fucking splits. That's all I got to say. Look at it across the board.
Well, look at the pictures on Twitter of the rosters that he was playing with. Looking at those pictures now is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's fucking trash.
Fucking Antonio Blakeney and Felicio and
You watch your fucking mouth.
Wayne Selden Jr.
You watch your mouth about the GOAT, Cristiano Felicio, okay? Sorry. He was so fucking good. No team could secure his services, and he had to go to, like, Germany or something. I don't know where he went.
He's in Germany.
God. Poor. I'll tell you what. You want to talk about a guy that came in and fucking secured a bag and dipped? Cristiano Felicio. My God. Like, did I think – I'm not going to lie to you. Did I think he looked decent when he was playing with, like, Wade and Rondo and those guys? Yeah, he looked all right. He looked all right. I'm not going to lie to you and say he didn't. But holy shit. Your job is to identify talent. That's your job. Like, you know, Gar and Pax, that's your job is to identify talent. You thought that motherfucker was worth $32 million when he wasn't worth half-eaten box of Oreos. I don't get it.
I still can't touch this topic because Felicio had everybody besides like a select few people convinced that he was like the second coming of Clint Capella. So
you're always throwing darts. You're always throwing those darts. That's why no one likes us. That's why we don't.
I'm not throwing. It was everybody.
We know who you're talking about.
I wasn't throwing any. To throw a specific individual under the bus, we would have to throw everybody else under the bus, and then it's not just throwing the. It was everybody. There's articles. There was the one national media topic that was great. The Bulls found a diamond in the rough, and Cristiano Felicio, they're doing something right. Look at this fucking guy go. They got him for how much? $8 million a year. What a fucking steal! That is a steal. This guy surely should have got $10 or $12 million somewhere else.
That's why we don't get asked on other people's podcasts. The darts.
Hey, you can go on other shows. I'm fine just being here.
I don't want to. Well, there's a couple actually, but I love what you just did. It just makes me laugh. It makes me happy. And when I'm drinking the beers, it makes me even happier. But yeah, I don't really have much else for this episode, man. I feel like we touched on a lot. We have preseason basketball quickly approaching, man. It's already September 7th. Preseason basketball is coming up very shortly. I'm excited to see what the Bulls can do. I'm excited for preseason too to see, you know, some Simonovic and some Ayo Dosunmu, you know, TBJ getting some run. I'm excited to see these guys go and make some shit happen.
See if Marco stacks up.
I'm kind of curious to see how Derek Jones Jr. stacks up. You know why? Because when he was in Miami, he played pretty well, and then when he went to Portland, I feel like he was overused a tad bit, and I feel like it hurt him. Putting him in a role that he could thrive in, I think is what is going to happen here in Chicago, and I'm excited for him. So there's a million different things that I'm excited for, really. So.
I'm excited for TBJ. I mean, we've kind of danced around the topic of him quite a bit today. I think he takes a step forward. He had quite a few big shots. Like
contract year, too.
Contract year?
No, don't forget that. Contract year. And with Kobe White being out in the beginning of the season, I think he gets a lot of run. So it's Ayo. What did I say? Ayo, Alex. I'm sorry. Fuck you, Alex. I love your face. Jack off. But hey, I got the one.
Gotta get our enunciations down before we get on.
That's one thing too that always pisses me off. Everybody like, oh, you can't even pronounce their fucking names. Like, I'm sorry, dude. I've been drinking.
Do you hear national broadcasters? They can't pronounce their fucking names.
Yeah, no shit. Jesus H, man. Leave me alone. That's all I got for this episode, man. You got anything else before we ride out here?
No. I think we covered a little bit too much.
I had a great time doing it. I did. I had a great time doing it. So everybody be sure you're going on tapsportsnet.com for all your Chicago sports literature and podcasting needs. Following us on Twitter at BullsOnTap, at OnTapSportsNet. Following Goose at Bulls Scripted. Follow me at BuzzOnTap. Anywhere you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to us, 5-star rating and review, because that's cool and tough. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd like to kind of build that. I'm going to start trying to make some YouTube videos this year to post over there. on that. I say that now because I've been drinking. I doubt it happens, but I'm going to really, really give it a good fucking, try. I'm going to give it a shot. We'll be back when we're back. I'm not sure when that's going to be. Maybe we're just probably start doing once a week leading up into the season, doing some Eastern Conference breakdown on teams and how the Bulls might stack up against them. All that fun shit. But again, do everything I said before. Let's go Bulls.